What up, y'all? I know not everyone feels like listening to a 40+ minute poll plans video for the month, so I broke it up to abbreviate my thoughts in a more easily digestible way. I know half of y'all, though, ain't subscribed, so go ahead and do that. Like the video, leave a comment with what you think about the upcoming content and your plans as well. And if you want to see the whole video, I'll be providing a link to that as well. Check that out for sure. Thanks a million, and now let's get into what you're really here for, alright? Next up, we got Gladio's Lost Chapter. Gladiolus, Gladio, whatever people refer to him as. But Sabin is the feature one here. I'm going to be talking about him first because he's the headliner. First off, Sabin's getting a rework. So with his LD, you're going to have his plus skills up 100% of the time. So I'm only going to talk about those. But his plus skill 1, along with more HP, I think it has 2 more HP attacks, and now batteries the party like crazy. So he's got battery utility in his kit, and his skill 2, I believe it was 1 turn delay before, and now it's 2 turns delay with also a double HP attack. So much more damage, consistent ignore defense, and utility in delay and party battery. And the skill 1 is high turn rate, so that helps out a ton. And the LD is very good for Sabin. My god. First off, the attack is an AoE brave hit, and then 50% splash to the other targets, and it hits very hard. It also ignores defense like the rest of his kit, right? The buff he gets from this is huge. So like I mentioned earlier, he doesn't drop his stacks anymore. So he's always going to be at 4 stacks, and he's always going to have his plus abilities. He's always ignoring defense, and always has the optimal versions of his kit up, right? So it ignores the cool stuff about his kit pre-LD, but that's fine, because whatever. He gets the normal attack up goodies from his LD, but the really important ones are he gets weakness damage up 30% on his LD. So not only is he ignoring defense, and he has a ton of attack behind him, so he's hitting hard, the additional brave damage modifier from the weakness damage is going to skyrocket his damage like crazy. Like, this man always caps damage no matter what. Like, just put a little bit of buff behind him and he can cap his brave damage, in Lufenia Plus with ease. It's actually kind of crazy, especially because defense starts becoming a relevant stat again. Transcendence 4, notoriously horrible stage. Even Sabin was doing crazy damage in that defense heavy stage. Like, he hits hard and takes crazy advantage of it, even with, especially with, I should say, his high armor plus his blue armor, which is a 3-1 split. This buff stays up permanently. It stays up as long as you're hitting a broken target or breaking a target, so just the usual stuff. It's always up and it's always getting extended. Same with his 4 stacks. He just goes on forever. You can ignore his EX sometimes. You actually get a free skill after using the LD too, and I usually like to use that on skill 2 just to delay him and get some more turn control in. He also got a special Brave and HP attack from his LD, but they're not really worth talking about. I mean, the Brave attack is cool because it dumps Brave, but still retains some at the end, so it's good with the HP attack. You'll never use it. Plus, if you wanted to retain Brave, just use skill 1 because it refunds the party anyways. So, nah, whatever. His calls, both of his calls drop his Wind Holy debuff down, which is nice. Base call delays target 2 turns, and the LD call is a decent effect for the caller. Decent attack up and overflow up, and it has 20% HP damage up, so that's alright to use. Probably you're using this as a secondary. If you're bringing Sabin's call, you're probably bringing it for the delay, more than likely. As for his high armor, I mentioned it earlier, but he's got the brave damage split, so he has a super high brave damage cap, similar to Tifa and Golbez, and he can super take advantage of that because of his weakness damage up and his attack and his ignore defense. So yeah, definitely a great opportunity for high armor investment. As for Gladio, he notoriously does not get much, but that doesn't make him bad. In fact, he's still just as stupid as he was before, and his kit is still insanely broken. He now gets a free turn at the beginning of the quest, so you can just hit skill 1 and cover the party. And whenever he uses LD now, it's finally a 2 HP attacks, and he buffs the party with the guard buff. This kind of weird to use it like that, I think, but because you want to start with skill 1 and then you LD afterwards and it reapplies the buff, but whatever. Additionally, while his LD cover 0 take damage buff, whatever it's called, is up, he gets brave damage up 20%. So while his counters, while that is up, he's doing more damage. So mainly the off turn. That's a good buff to him. He hits harder. That's all he really needed. I mean, his kit has persisted from now until his Lost Chapter, and he still goes on very hard in the future. And because of his kit, he's just a bit more balanced now. So all around good stuff. Gladio's base call gives the party brave and HP damage resist. That's situationally pretty good if you're not trying to take as much damage. And his LD call gives the caller his LD buff, so you don't take any brave damage, don't take any HP damage, and you don't get debuffed. So that's very situationally, I guess niche is the right word there, because that gets overused like crazy. But that's, if you really needed that for some reason, that's it right there. And obviously, if it pierces those, then whatever. But yeah, I guess I don't see why you bring his call ability, but it's there. He's got the same high armor split as Porum and Warrior Light. It leans HP for the party. I don't see how Gladio would be helping you reach those caps, so I'm not sure about the efficiency of this blue. But it's there, I guess. What do I think overall? Sabin definitely got the juice. Excited to see Ink do the Sabin saga again, because that's about to kick up into high gear. Like, it is Sabin is such a monster because he's always hitting those brave caps. So I think I mentioned that T4, Transcendence 4 down the road, it's very hard without Sabin or Setzer or other batterying through it. That your options are very limited. That's actually a very restrictive stage. And Sabin is one of the few people that could do damage on his own. And that just speaks loudly to his power. And he does so much. He has party battery, and he refunds the entire party on a skill 1. So if they're not getting delayed, and since he has the free skill after LD, he's a very consistent delayer. He can pump out delays a lot. And then when he's not delaying, he can do a lot of damage with his EX does a lot of damage. His LD does a lot of damage. It's just an all-around very, very good, consistent kit. He's so self-sufficient, probably one of the most self-sufficient units in the game, if I'm being real. His biggest downsides are probably that he's relatively slow unless he's high turn rating on his skill 1, but this is offset by the fact that he's delaying with his skill 2. And while he does cap his brave easily, you're not being able to take full advantage of that without his high armor plus or without units in the party who have other high armor pluses or maybe BT effects that don't raise the brave damage cap. But when he is uncapped, oh lord, he's taking advantage of it. He doesn't need it to be effective, but he definitely has a very high ceiling if you're taking that into account. Gladio, if you were around during his release, I know a ton of you, most of you probably listening to this probably have him unless you're newer. Still very good, got good upgrades, and now he has level 80, so he can use calls. This banner overall, from a how do I improve my roster and how can I hedge myself against future content, I'd say this is probably the best one out of all the 3 during Cloud of Darkness' cycle, and I don't think that's a hot take because, well, it's double LD and these 2 characters are very, very good. Am I pulling? I don't think I am. Now, as much as I praise Sabin, I never used him much in JP just because Titus came right afterwards and then Yuna, and then things rolled around. I didn't prioritize using him, and I don't think I'd prioritize using him now. Personally, I'd rather just hand the reins to Ink and watch him thrash content for months on end. And oh, am I excited to watch that, and I'll live through him vicariously. And I already have Gladio, and I'm not interested in Cloud of Darkness' burst. So yeah, it's not a Sabin isn't good thing. I wouldn't use Sabin, but seriously, this dude packs a punch. Like, you're gonna see some people using him and be like, damn, I wish I hadn't missed out on him, because he's hitting hard, especially if you stack like huge brave cap ups. Like I think it's Garland's BT has a huge brave cap up, Setzer down the road on his armor. Like, seriously, Sabin is a monster, and I can't sell him well enough. And if you don't have Gladio, you definitely don't have Sabin because he hasn't been out at this point. This is a really good banner in my opinion, but I'm not pulling on it. I don't think so. As for reruns, Sabin reruns down the line alongside Twins, LD, and Burst, their banner. That's it, and Gladio does not have a known rerun at this point, so at this point he's going to rerun when he gets level 90 and EX extension, etc. As for the fight, it's an interesting one because it's also another delay fight. This is Cloud of Darkness' cycle, and they're selling Sabin. The orb is +8 when you delay while also hitting element weakness. So this is also possible with just regular delayers, and if you enchant them, you're good. So like Kurosame, Fujin, Ignis, I can't think of any other. Ash is really good here. But the funny part about the fight is that it's at the beginning, I know, and I think at least twice later in the fight, they gain a bunch of brave and they spike their defense like crazy. And the only way to pierce through them is to either like stack crazy defense down or use defense ignore, which Sabin does, and you can pop them and then they go back to normal. While this effect is up, you also there's no battery either, so you either gotta tank it with like Gladio, for example, and have him eat both the attacks while his LD's buff is up. I don't think they ignore. Yeah, they shouldn't ignore HP damage up or HP damage resist, because that would be silly. But like pour him, you could eat the attack and then break him afterwards. Warrior Light, any HP damage mitigation, but this is a big fat ass attack, so you really don't want to get hit by this. Or if you do, you want to mitigate it somehow. Or you could like Ami call them, Edward call them, and then break them somehow. But you need to get that brave down, and as soon as they get broken again, you can finally battery away. And the other part is that you can actually no-turn this fight, but it's also possible to not no-turn it, because while it is counterintuitive to have a delay fight for Gladio, since it is +8 on the orb and you can enchant your way around it, it's actually possible to just weave your turns wow, I can't speak today. Weave your turns in there and just mitigate HP damage when necessary. So like Warrior Leg, Galuf, etc. I think this is a pretty interesting fight. Just you have to know how to mitigate that giant brave gain. If you don't have some way around it, either ignore defense that's the other thing. They become immune to instant break as well when they go into this phase. So yeah, it's pretty yikes. But if you can manage around that, a bunch of people will be no boss turning this. Understandably so. I probably will as well. But a consistent element of delay, so like Cypher plus Bartz, and then a third delayer maybe like COD, Garland, etc. Like that's a win. DPS it down with Tifa. There's a lot of options for this fight. It is a delay-centric fight, but since there's the added elements here, I think it is an actually fairly interesting fight. As for who I'm going to run, well, in JP, I ran Cypher, Bartz, and Sabin because I pulled, but this time around, I think I might be ugly and run Garland Aranea and Warrior of Light together and just rely purely on enchant calls. That might be funny. We'll see how that pans out, so just stay tuned for that. And that's it. Hope you all enjoyed the clip and found it informative. I do try my best, generally. If you haven't already done so, please like the video, comment what you think and your plans, and make sure to subscribe to my channel for more great content. The full video is linked, so check that out as well. Continue showing love. Good luck, everybody. Peace.